uncertainties and are able to fulfill your post-retirement aspirations. The pension pot. Don't miss it.
93.7 Citizen FM.
Let's talk about it on our favorite radio station.
We're more than just a radio station. We are a part of your life.
The issues.
Everybody respected that because it was coming from the president.
Purely behind it, the way the people took the battle in their hands.
Some civil servant retired without a roof over his age.
The cause.
If we cannot trust you, then you cannot take the ticket of this country. Who cannot be divulged from those who cause a crime. Honestly.
The passion.
You must have national spread. So where is it?
Why are you so concerned about that? He said money was.
I never.
No.
The platform is always the same.
Insight on Citizen FM 93.7.
The source is constant.
My name is Lawrence Umoite.
There is always an opportunity.
Tomorrow Insight returns with another interesting
Insight with Lawrence Umoite on Citizen 93.7 FM Abuja. Be part of the experience.
Join our hearts to build a nation of our dreams. Your problem is my problem and my joy is your joy. Make we join our hearts to build a nation of our dreams. Your problem is my problem and my joy is your joy.
Abuja, a very pleasant afternoon to you, and thanks for staying with us here on Citizen FM at 93.7. How are you doing today? The time is riding up to 9 minutes past 3 this Monday afternoon. I hope the rays of the sun are not beating so hard down on your head today. If it is, well, we are Africans. You deal with it. And of course, very shortly, it will be evening time and the rays will be softened a little bit, and then we can just relax. I sincerely hope you are coping with the challenges facing us as a nation right now. We need to bear with it. Don't worry, a day will come, maybe sometime in the future, and we're just going to relax, and most of the challenges we have, we'll just be remembering them in retrospect and then looking forward to greater things happening. Thanks for joining us. It's Politics Now. That's the program. My name is Ernest, here on 93.7 Citizen FM. On a regular basis, like I say all the time, Politics Now is that show where we look at the contemporary issues in terms of leadership and associated events about our country, to look at how far are they going. And recently there's been challenges. We are looking forward. Just this week, we shall be stepping forward to the polls to cast our vote for a new president. Can you imagine that? President Buhari has been in office for almost 8 years now, and very soon, in just a few weeks, a few months' time, he'll be stepping back to his village and will be retired after his 2 terms, and then we'll be voting for a new president. And then all the issues related to that. There is a cash crunch right now. There's fuel scarcity. I'm telling you, there's challenges on the streets. I drove a few minutes ago around the place, and what I saw, I wasn't very happy, as there are challenges everywhere. But today, we're looking at the issue. We're looking at certain legal issues going on in our country right now, and the issue of something went down, I think, last week, 2 weeks ago. The Supreme Court gave a ruling, and then the president came to give a counter position, and all those issues are going on. And there have been people, I've even seen human rights activists, persons who have always said that the right things should be done, the law should be followed, even backing the president and saying. So I don't know how we are going to resolve all of that. And so today, I invited a very close friend of mine, to come into the studio here, so maybe we can take a look at these issues and see, because the ultimate target is not, I beg your pardon, it's not about whether you support someone or not. It's about, we want to build a society where every Nigerian is free, where every Nigerian has equal right, whether you are in Calabar, you are in Kafanchan, you are in Sokoto, you are in Birnin Kebbi, Maiduguri or Abeokuta, we are all the same and equal. So if we want to build a society like that, what are the necessary foundations that need to be laid so that we can have that society when we are running away to Canada, to the US and Switzerland and calling back home and saying, look, this place is better than Nigeria? How do we get those societies? So it's my pleasure this afternoon to be welcoming my very good friend. He's now a friend of the house, a senior advocate of Nigeria, which we call SAN, meaning that he has practiced law to a very, very high level in Nigeria. For you to be conferred with that title, they call it a silk. And I have the pleasure of having Sam Kagbo in the studio. Sam, you're very welcome to the studios of Citizen FM.
Thank you very much.
And we've not had you here for some time.
I've been busy.
Yes, I know. I want to go into that, because the last time you were here, you actually drove in from the hospital because it was very tough. True. So you discovered that when we invite you, it's difficult for you to say no.
True.
Today again, I had to drag you out. I know
this is more than dragging.
I'm telling you, I know.
You blackmailed me.
The listener will not know the challenges we go through, and then you, our guests too, you go through, you make the sacrifice to be here to answer to certain questions, because it is our desire, and all of us, we must contribute together to build that great nation that we are looking for. So I really appreciate you making that extra effort to join me this afternoon.
Thank you very much.
All right, now let's go straight into it. When the Supreme Court gave a ruling, I believe that you listened to the president's broadcast a few days ago. Yeah, when the Supreme Court gave a ruling and the president came up to make a pronouncement that sort of counters that of this Supreme Court, what was your general feeling? I just want to get your own idea of where you stand on those kind of issues. That an issue is still with the Supreme Court, and then the president is going ahead to make an announcement that somehow rubbishes what the Supreme Court has given.
I do not think what I think matters, but let me, as a lawyer, give a background to this and perhaps fortify you to make your own value judgment.
Okay.
The president gave a directive to the central bank to withdraw the 200, 500, and 1,000 naira notes out of circulation and replacing them with new designed copies of those ones. And now give a time, about 3 months, within which those old notes could still be legal tenders, that at the end of those 3 months, they will no longer be legal tenders. And we all waited until the deadline, only for us to realize that there was no sufficient money to replace the older one. So that was chaos, and people complained a lot. And 3 states thought that what the CBN did on the directive of Mr. President did not meet the standard of the law. This is what the law says. The central bank can withdraw many of those currencies out of circulations and replace them only on the directive of the president, and but that directive cannot be acted upon until there is what the provision of the act says, reasonable time.
Okay.
That's the law. So the grounds of those 3 states or 3 governors, as represented by their Attorney General, is that the time, that 3 months, was not reasonable within the context of the implementation of the policy, because if there was enough newly printed currencies to replace the old one, then there wouldn't have been an issue. But even by their own showing and by their own reckoning, they said they withdrew about
2.7 trillion,
but only printed about
400 billion.
So you saw the gap. So the governors went to court to what I would call contest that deadline, to say the deadline was not reasonable. Their grounds was not about the policy.
Okay.
No, not any one of them complained about the policy, but rather the deadline.
Okay.
That's what the processes they filed in court is contesting that deadline.
Okay.
That it's not reasonable
enough.
Okay. So when they went to court on the 8th of February, and the deadline was to be on the 10th. You only have 2 days between the time they filed the matter in court and the 10th. That time is too short for them to serve the processes.
That is the Supreme Court now.
Yeah, they went to the Supreme Court. I will come to that. That time was too short for them to serve the processes on the
all concerned.
Yeah, on the Attorney General of the Federation. And that's the only defendant in the matter. And it was also too short a time for the Attorney General to respond to their application that the process, that is the deadline, should be stayed pending when the matter will be heard in the Supreme Court. So they now ask for an interim order. The interim order is one that you could get in between proceedings. That between now and the next proceedings before the court, let this order be
remain.
Yeah, so they ask for that order ex parte. What I mean by ex parte, without hearing the other party. Generally, the law says you must hear the other party, but because of the exigencies of the time, they ask for an ex parte order to say, hey, this is the circumstances within which we are talking about. If we say we have to wait for them to be heard, we'll be out of time, and the case would have been rendered irrelevant. So the Supreme Court gave them that interim order and asked the central bank not to implement the deadline pending when they would hear the application for the interlocutory order. The interlocutory order is one that is given during dependency of the proceedings up to the end of it. What are they saying? Between the beginning of this case up to the end of it, when the court would have decided the matter on the merit, let the deadline be suspended. But for the court to determine that application, the other party must be heard. You understand?
Yes, so I do.
Yeah. So on the 8th, the interim order was given pending the hearing of the application, not the substantive.
Of the application.
The application for the interlocutory order. You understand?
Yes, I do.
Let me get back to you.
Yeah, sure.
You have interim.
Yes, I know.
Interim between now and the next hearing of the other application. Until the other application is heard, this is the order of the court. It's interim. You understand? It's of a certain lifespan. They gave it, and they now adjourn to the 15th, when the Attorney General would have had sufficient time to respond, and they would now contest the application for the interlocutory order. On the 15th, they went to court. Other parties joined.
That's right.
When the other parties joined, they granted them the application to join. Some join on this side, the other join on the other side. So that now put a hold on the hearing of the application for the interlocutory order.
Okay.
You understand? So the because those who have been joined have to be served with the originating processes, and the originating process too has to be amended on the face of it to include the new parties.
Okay.
So that was why the matter was not heard on the 15th, and now adjourned to the 22nd. In between, but the response of the Attorney General is not in respect of the interlocutory order. It did not go into the interlocutory order, but rather file an application challenging the jurisdiction of the court to say the Supreme Court does not have jurisdiction over this matter. So that application is pending there, and the application for the interlocutory order is also pending before the court.
Okay.
You understand? So the application for the interlocutory order has not been heard, and therefore the interim order subsists, because it's an order given pending the hearing of that interlocutory order.
Okay.
I don't know the advice that Mr. President got.
Okay.
And decided in his own wisdom to act, is it benevolently or magnanimously, and said, oh, I know that you are suffering, I know that the matter is in court, and because of that, in order to mitigate the harm or the suffering caused by the insufficient funds in circulation, and now allow the 200 naira notes to be back into circulation for 60 days. You understand? So this is where we are.
Okay.
Now, the question is, should Mr. President have acted the way he did? I will not say yes or no, but I will tell you what the law says. The law says once you have a dispute before the court over a specific subject matter, even without an order, whatever you do during the subsistence of that particular case is null and void.
It's null and void, okay.
Because you are infracting on the authority of the court. Because the court has absolute control and command over that dispute. You cannot in any way alter it or respond to it. It is not within your own domain. And that law is absolute to the point that even if the Attorney General is right to say that the court has no jurisdiction, and even if the Attorney General is right to say the people who took the matter to court have no locus, that is, they don't have no business with the case, or that they don't have a cause of action, that is, there is no harm done to them in any case. They are just busybody people. Even if that is right, until the court decide that in that manner, it is not in your business, it is not within your own purview, or what I call with your own powers, for you to intervene the way he did.
Okay.
You understand? That's what the law says.
Okay.
That's what the law says. So whether or not what Mr. President did is wrong in law, yes, but the way the society looks at it, yes.
Sam, I brought you here.
Yes.
We've lived in societies, we've watched societies.
Yes.
And we understand that because here we are. I've heard human rights activists saying the president is correct. He did right. I brought a lawyer here who said the president he has been monitoring the president, a young lawyer, not obeying court orders, and he has always been angry. But in the disobedience of this one, he likes it because it's in favor of the people. Now, Sam, no, let me finish. Let me finish the question, please.
Yeah.
Now, the question I'm asking is this. If we have also seen in studying other more developed countries that whether the authorities, the leaders, when a Supreme Court gives an injunction, whether they like it or not, for the sake of that nation, the future of that country, everybody just falls in line on that whatever the Supreme Court has given.
Exactly.
Being the fact that the Supreme Court is the final say that decides issues. So no matter which way. So I'm asking you, Sam, how do you think of our society that today human rights activists, people who have been fighting for the right of citizens, they now feel that this presidential intervention favors them in one way or the other, I don't know how, and they are saying the president is correct, rather than pointing out that everybody, if we are operating the rule of law, where the law is supreme, the president shouldn't be going against and rubbishing the Supreme Court.
You said it all, but let me explain what I think the people are missing, and all those who are supporting Mr. President are missing. No court of law would interfere in deciding whether or not a policy of government is good or bad. That is not their business. And that is not the case before the court.
Okay.
The issue of whether or not the policy is good is a judgment for the people, not that of the court.
Okay.
So the court is not concerned and should not be concerned about whether or not the policy is good.
It's good, okay.
That is not his business. But most people who are supporting the president are supporting it because they believe the policy is good.
Okay.
Forgetting the fact that that is not
what the law.
That is not the business of the court, and that is not the case before the court. What the court is empowered to do, because by nature of our own separation of powers, it is for the court to do a reality check of the process by which you arrive at a decision, an executive decision. If the process falls short of the prescription of the law, they strike it out, irrespective of its good, irrespective of whether that policy is going to bring the moon to the ocean for us.
Okay.
They would strike it down because what? The law says you must do it this way. That is what they call due process compliance. Did you comply with the process prescribed by the law for the making of the decision? Now I come back to what the law says. The law says you can withdraw, you can recall money, but you must give a reasonable notice. What is reasonable is within the context. You, by your own showing, you have admitted in so many ways, even by bringing the 200 naira, you've admitted that you have not prepared sufficiently for the implementation of the policy. You cannot just implement policy for the sake of the policy. You must have been prepared for it, because what the law says, give yourself a reasonable time, is for you also to be able to implement the policy without riding roughshod on the people.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah.
So this is the issue here.
Okay.
But most of our colleagues, mind you, it is not every person who has a law degree. It is not everybody, even if you are a professor of law, even if you are the best of brains, if you are not a practicing lawyer, you do not really go too far from what the general public understands on issues. You could be speaking better English than I do. And most of them, they speak very brilliantly with poise. But
you are speaking very well.
No. Listen. They do not understand procedure. And that is where the law is. The courts are not about values. they ask them questions. Every case before a court is a question for them to answer.
Either this way or
this way or that. Okay. And your evidence would what? Give you credence, or would what? Deny you your release.
That's right.
So here, the issue before the court has nothing to do with whether the policy is good or bad. No. But did he comply with the law in implementing the policy? Is the 3 months reasonable within time? It is not for me to say, or for you to say, or for the president to say. It is for the court to say it is reasonable. Also, there are other issues that would come. Okay. Like I have said, the Attorney General has already what? Made an application, an objection to say...
And in line with you, the court can also still decide that, okay, we don't have jurisdiction.
Fine, that's what I'm saying.
It's up to the Supreme Court to make that decision.
Yeah,
and nobody should preempt them.
No. So once that application is going to be heard, hopefully on the 22nd.
Okay.
And the case, the reason, the grounds for the objection, one is that, this is an act of an agency of government. It's not an act of the Federation. You understand? And therefore, it should go to the Federal High Court. And also, these people who come, they have no locus. And they have no cause of action. No harm is done to them. That is the objection. Because that's what the law says. Okay. The law says, if the case is against an arm of government, or the government itself, or an agency of the government, or a ministry of the government, Section 251 says it has to do with what says it should be the Federal High Court. Okay. But if the dispute is between a state and the Federation, the Federation, it should be the Supreme Court. So that issue has to be first and foremost clear and resolved.
Okay, that's right.
So my question is, why the hurry?
But Sam, that's what I wanted to ask you.
Why the hurry?
A very popular intellectual in Nigeria, in writing a piece, I don't want to call his name, he said Nigeria is running a political system dominated by ego, ethnicity, religion, and arrogance. Do you think that here we have leaders, governors, local government chairman, president, ministers. Anytime there's an issue before them, and rather than following the law, they want to prove to the people, I am in charge, I am powerful, I am a governor, I can do this within my state, I am the president, and they go ahead to do that. And the people, because of ignorance, sometimes even applaud them. How do you think this will affect this development of this great nation that we have? When we see leaders of bigger countries in terms of global influence than Nigeria, the leaders bow to the rule of law. But here in Africa, and Nigeria specifically, we still have leaders who raise their shoulders to show, because they feel that the people will say he is weak, he is lazy, and so they take certain actions just to go against the law, which in the long run is to the detriment of the development of a better society. How do we deal with that?
And as I've told you over and over, and as the last time we spoke, I said, we make the gods that govern us. It is the people that make them. And you see, what creates the values outside there, either political values, governance values, social values, all of them are created by precedents. And in other language, you can say traditions, right? Traditions means something that was done yesterday. This is the way it's done. And this is the way it works in governance. You have Jimbul, who is representing tribe A. He does something fundamentally heinous. And you say, oh, what he's done is wrong. His tribesmen are going to rise up and say, when Lakbaja did it yesterday, what did you do? You understand?
Yeah.
Amaka stole yesterday. Nothing is done. BC stole today. And you want to say, they said no. When Amaka stole yesterday, what did you do? Fatima did something wrong yesterday and he went away with it. Today, Bilkisu wants to do something, did something, or have done something like that, and you want to rise up against it. Say, no, that person has done it. And this is what we are having. Nobody is looking at issues objectively. It's through either malice, seriously, you look at it through the prism of malice or through the prism of interest. Now, Mr. President has done something, and they see that the policy is affecting the fortunes of the APC in the polls, or they envisage that it may. The opposition has said, fine, he's done the right thing. I've always hated Buhari, but this time around, I love him. It is not loving him for the good of the policy, but because of what? His own interest. The question I ask, why the hurry? You say, okay, you want to withhold the cash in order to stop vote buying. And I ask you, do you think that elections are rigged only by vote buying? No. Vote buying is not up to 10% of the ways through which they rig elections.
Through politicians.
You know,
of which
there are so many ways.
President is a politician.
So many ways. And in any case, when you know, the reason you know that the people will be bought for their votes would be bought is because you pauperize them.
They're in poverty.
Because you have not educated them. Because you have not lifted them from that existential nature whereby theirs is just about survival. They don't care about yesterday or tomorrow. It's about the next meal. You've exposed them there. You've left them there. And on the eve of election, you want to patronize them by saying, no, you want their votes to count. Why haven't you made their vote to count when you are in governance?
There was a 2019 election.
Forget about the election now. You are in government. Do the right thing. If the people are well fed or can feed themselves, they don't need to beg. They don't need to be pitied by politicians. Can they be bought? Would you be bought? Ernest?
No.
You would not. And the reason is because...
I wonder who is going to buy my vote.
Yeah. The only way they can buy your vote is through tribal sentiment or interest pursuits or malice against the candidate or malice against the tribe of the candidate. All of those things might sway you as an elite, but not somebody buying you. But that's beside the point. What I think we all have to be wary of is the campaigns of these people who come under the guise of I should know or under the guise of in the interest of the people. No, I do not think any politician ever has the interest of the people. Whatever he does, I can tell you, is 100% in pursuit of an interest.
Personal interest. Okay.
That's what I think.
Okay. Sam,
yes.
I have gauged, including myself, most Nigerians support. I agree with what you said, that if the people are not pauperized, nobody can buy their votes. But at the same time, there are those of us, me, myself included, and so many of my friends, have interviewed and interrogated them, and everybody is in support of crushing vote buying. We don't want vote buying to interfere in our politics. But the question we're asking is this: even when we want to achieve that, must it not be procedural? Must we not
it is.
But how do we make the ordinary Nigerian to understand that even if a policy is a good one, why should it not follow? Why should we not gradually do it until it beds in, rather than forcing it overnight? You drove in now. Do you see the chaos on our streets? There is fewer queues. And I asked the question, Sam, I don't know, and I know you're not the right person to ask, but if we have a policy that is of good to the people in the long run, and in the short run the people die, of what value then is that policy?
I wonder. You see, most of the time we play God over the people. We think for them, we act for them, we need them. When I say need, like what you need, the flour, whatever. You think the people are so, I don't want to use the word, but so naive, so manipulatable, and therefore you want to think for them. Oh no, that's infernal. The people that you see out there who are frowning at you, who are begging for the next meal, if you take them out of that economic quagmire, they may be thinking better than you, and they may even have better moral values than you. So what am I saying? I am saying, don't patronize the people. Do what is right for them.
Okay.
Don't wait for the 11th hour. You come and play tricks on them. Because let me tell you something. If you have been involved with election rigging, let me give you an example. I wrote an article. I've written articles on how Fayose won. Is it 2015?
No, I don't think.
Ekiti.
Was Fayose there in 2015?
I think so, yeah, 2015, Ekiti. Was it? Yeah, before 2015. Before 2015.
Yeah, it was before 2015.
Yeah,
I can't remember the
year. Yeah, that here. Yeah. But let me tell you how I won.
Before you go into that, just give me a moment. I just want to remind the listener, you are on to Citizen FM 93.7, and you're hearing the voice of Sam Kagbo, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. We'll call it Sam, joining me this afternoon to look at the issues of laws in Nigeria, the issue of the currency debacle that we find ourselves now, and of course the case before the Supreme Court and the action of the government. I know so many of us may be talking there and saying things. Okay, we all support the crushing of vote buying, but look, you can join us. I've been seeing some calls here, but since I've not opened the lines, I didn't want to pick them. You can call us now, 0903-222-9797, 0818-222-2205. You can join. Let's hear your view. Let's see if it's educated view or whatever. But you are a Nigerian, you have a right to your views. So you can call us and join us. Yes, Sam, you were saying something.
Before the eve of the election, the PDP had taken control of all the wards in the state. And how do you take control of the wards? You patronize whoever is an influencer in the place.
Okay.
They give them rice, they give them palm oil, they give them all sorts of things. They buy salt and commodities generally all over the place, but making sure that APC does not have a foothold in any of the wards. And there, for each ward, they had sent in 25 representatives who are foot soldiers to ensure that every voter...
Okay, the election was an off-cycle election.
Yes.
So they had enough
time.
Okay.
For each ward, they had 25 foot soldiers who were going to identify all the voters and meet their needs before the election.
Wow.
And on APC supporters who are going to come with the cash were going to come on the eve of the election, since they were already thrown out of the streets of the wards. They were excluded there. You know what they did? As they were coming with their plane, they were making sure that they don't leave the airport.
Okay, I think I remember that.
Fine.
I think I remember that very vividly. Yeah, so many years ago.
Fine.
I remember that.
If I was talking about what it will be to
I remember that this confining him to the hotel room.
Fine. So that's why, you see, so when people say, they are coming to buy votes on the lines, you only buy votes on the line when you are not in control of the ward, and when you are not in control of that local government. If you are in control, you don't come on the day of the election to buy votes, because how many of them can you buy? People are lining up. You are not going to go and meet them on the line and say, take. No. The rigging or the buying of the votes would have been done overnight. And I can tell you, now that cash is not there, it's going to be in kind. Commodities, rice, and all of these things, the prices are going to go haywire.
I've asked a question, Sam, and I asked somebody, and they say, can we compute, if at all, at the end of this election on Saturday, let's compute what we benefited from denying the system of cash to avoid vote buying, and compute the suffering and the pain.
It is unquantifiable.
Balance it to see which is more.
It is unquantifiable.
So I thought that if there is any policy government is making, no matter how good it is for the people, and it's going to render the people useless and make them suffer, that whatever the leaders do, they need to adjust it or suspend it for some time. I don't know if that is.
Let us look at the reasoning here. You say you are withholding cash because of security issues, but mind you, tomorrow the cash has to come.
The cash must come.
It has to come. So you are just postponing the evil day. The issue is, address the issue of insecurity. You cannot solve it through monetary means as such. In the long run, yes, you may think you have a respite, and you go with the data, and you go with the record that by the time I'm leaving, there was no kidnapping and all of that. But you are just postponing the evil day. As long as you have not met them in the forest and exterminated them there, they're going to wait. They're patient. You get my drift? So I do not think that we understand the sociology of rigging of elections. People are going to be shocked. Let me give an example of what might have happened in Osun State with the beavers. The beavers is recording those who are accredited. It's the people, but it's not recording the votes. The votes are going to be recorded manually in the form BC8A. So what prevents me, if I have access to ballot papers, from talking in my inner wares 100 votes, and I am accredited, I go in there and I dump the 100 votes. Definitely there is going to be what? A discrepancy between what? The accredited number and those that are put in. So when people say it's not possible, the beavers that is manipulated, no, you can't manipulate the beavers. The beavers is real time.
Okay.
But you can manipulate the votes. The votes are physical. Those are the ones that you can have in excess.
And then, so even if you can invalidate the election,
of course,
and make
what I would need to do is to be sure that for every area that I'm weak,
that you're weak,
I'm going to make sure that at least I get one person, only one person, to put two instead of one, so that I will be overvoting.
I don't know if our people understand that it's not just there are so many ways. People do not have to go through
you cannot.
Because
I will win by elimination.
Because I imagine when I watch leaders from all these bigger countries we are jackpotting to the scientific approach they use to solve problems, and we are still crude at this end. We want to physically force a problem to be solved overnight, something we can plot. For instance, the beavers you just mentioned now, that's a tactical solution created already, at least, and we can begin to build on it. We don't need to force systems and break and suffer and punish citizens just for one small. Solutions can come in the next 10 years, 5, 6, gradually, till we get there. I don't know if you agree with me.
I agree with you.
So I don't understand, because I was on the street just now, fuel queues and all of that, and these will impact the election whether we like it or not.
People are traveling, there is panic and all of that. Those things would happen. But let me say what I want to say. The problem of this country, when they say this, that of leadership, is leadership at all levels. The elites are themselves, on the average, a fraud. Professional gatherings, platforms, you listen to all form of malicious sentiments
being peddled by citizens.
Nobody would give you a breather to talk about issues. The only thing they throw is about the ugly things about the other party. They always want the only thing.
So does that mean that we Nigerians, we are not interested in the greater interest of Nigeria? That most of us are unpatriotic? Is that what you're saying by inference? We are running out of time already.
Another what they call dissonance is much more than ambivalence. Okay. The moral ambivalence or ambiguity. They don't know where you stand. Today you are here, today they are there. But this moral dissonance is the fact that you want things to be good, but you don't want them to be done in a good way.
You don't want to pass through the good way.
But you want, like
a policeman running against traffic to arrest a traffic offender.
You want Nigeria to be governed like the Westerners, but you want your own preferred leader to be chosen by
dubious
means, or by disqualifying the other party, or by blackmailing the other party, or by throwing debt at the other party. You don't want a clean contest. You don't want a contest of ideas. All that you want, take a look at all of them. If you look at every platform, the only thing that they throw at you are the negative things about the other party.
Wow.
When you now ask them to say, guys, can't we as intellectuals discuss these issues without looking at all these ugly pictures? They say, oh no. Okay, assuming you say you prefer party A, they say, oh, I would have thought that somebody who is educated like you would have been thinking of otherwise. To them, the only sensible person is the person who supports their candidate.
Who is
when you don't support their candidate, you are a mental person.
What you are doing.
You are part of the problem. You are forgetting the fact that it's a matter of choice. The person you are choosing, you don't know him. You don't have no relationship with that person.
A lot of people choose our president in 2015.
No, without knowing him, you don't know who he is.
That is correct.
But because he's related to your inner sentiments, it's my tribesman. Take a look at it now.
Okay.
Almost every party you can tell if this person is this, you know where they are. And yet they will tell you that they are objective. And yet they will tell you that they are reasonable. And yet they will tell you that they are intelligent. I said, is it coincidence that all of you are banded?
All right.
Together in support of your own tribesman?
Subjective objectivity, if we can call it, if we have anything like that. Well, that's the voice of Sam Kagbo, as we have run out of time in the studio here. Sam, I know we cannot exhaust these issues as we begin to dream of how to get our country to where it should be running under the rule of law, and where we have a great society, so that Nigerians will no longer be running away to other countries and say things are better there. We will have that better country right here under our feet.
Amen.
I want to thank you again for carving out this time to join me this afternoon. I hope when I invite you again, you will not say, "Yes, you are always stressing me."
As long as you give me enough time.
Yes, I will.
Reasonable time.
I will always do that. I will always do that. I want to thank you, Sam Kagbo, SAN, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, joining me this afternoon to look at the issue of whether are we living under the rule of law, what is the Supreme Court ruling, and of course the issues that are related to that about the Naira redesign issue. Well, this is where we pull the curtains on today's edition of Politics Now. Tomorrow, another edition will come your way. My name is Ernest. Be a good Nigerian. Please, this is our country. We have nowhere else to run. Don't destroy property. Let's bear the suffering with ease. It will ease up very, very soon, I can assure you. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.